3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff on board.
As they exist today, do not...
Once President Eisenhower made the decision to take photos from satellites, the NRO then faced the technical challenge of getting those images safely back to Earth, where they could be analyzed by awaiting photo interpreters. An ingenious and rather simple solution emerged. Drop the undeveloped film in a bucket and have an airplane snag it in midair before it's splashed into the sea.
You're looking at an object that's going about 200 feet a second.
This is the story of the bucket catchers and their historic last KH-8 Gambit catch in April 1986.
I mean, I felt so much pressure. Don't mess up, this is your chance.
The job of catching buckets was assigned to a handful of intrepid pilots and capture crews at the 6594th Test Group out of Hickam Air Force Base, Hawaii. They called themselves the Star Catchers, and their aircraft was the JC-130. It was an elite assignment.
Somebody usually had to will it to you, or somebody had to die for you to go into that squadron.
Between 1963 and 1986, with the exception of just a handful of lost buckets, the Star Catchers snatched and grabbed nearly 170 buckets. In the sometimes chaotic world of catching valuable film free-falling from space, practice makes near perfect.
To stay in the lineup and to move up in the order on who would get the next catch, you had to have a 90% success rate.
Actual practice system was a shell. It was loaded with concrete, and that was used as a temporary weight.
It was very competitive. I mean, they wanted you to do well. I mean, on practice, but it was always, oh, so you missed one, or it just splashes into the water. So
she sleeps with the fishes.
Yes.
The sensation of snagging a bucket out of thin air was unforgettable.
Well, you first felt this parachute that you went over, because there's a burble of air right on top of the chute, so you feel a little bump, then you kind of feel the airplane pull backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
And the winch basically takes out a lot of the suddenness, so you don't have a huge change of airspeed or feeling like that, but you've got something out there.
But with the advent of digital imaging in the 1980s, the days of bucket catching were numbered.
We were always switching back and forth for an actual crew that's going to make a catch.
I was the aircraft commander and Mike was the co-pilot. One airplane would go out very early, like maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, as the telemetry airplane, so that they were tracking the system and they would be heading up toward Alaska. Everything was done in Hawaii, within maybe 500 to 1,000 miles, either north or south. That's where it always came down. There were 5 airplanes, and all 5 of them had recovery aircraft commanders in it. There are 2 more airplanes out there with air refueling capability, and there's usually at least 2 or 3 or maybe 4 helicopters, so that they can bring in the pararescue guys. We were number 1, so if we were messing up, then lead would say, okay, number 2 or whatever, you have a try it, because we were all stacked at different altitudes. And we saw it maybe around, 40, 45,000 feet. It was pretty high up there. We would see the chute, but you could not make a pass until 15,000 feet.
You're looking at an object that's going about 200 feet a second coming at you. When you're actually making the approach, you've only got a few seconds.
I mean, I felt so much pressure as we're the crew. Don't mess up. This is your chance. We caught it on the first pass. There was so much adrenaline. Yeah, it was very kind of an intense feeling, and going, all right, we got it. But it wasn't over yet, because now they had to reel it in. And that's a whole different process, and those guys are really good, because you have to watch out for the hooks and everything. But once it was on board, I said, Mike, you got the airplane. I got to go back and, touch it.